What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Tie Talk. Now, today we are making Tie Talks history again, and I am doing my very first movie trailer review. And if I'm gonna do a trailer review, there's only one guest that I could invite. So, join me as we review the King Richard Be Alive trailer.
Ain't nothing she can't do.
Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world.
Well, welcome to Tie Talks, the Movie Man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. When I decided to do a trailer review, I was like, there's only one person to do it with, you.
Of
So,
course.
do you want to tell the people a little bit more about yourself?
Yes. This is kind of my intro line. But hey everyone, this is the Movie Man, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And so with that kind of sums up what I do. I am an emerging film critic. I'm still kind of growing in the profession, but started off doing some writing with film reviews, and people were saying for years I needed to get a YouTube, and I was just like, didn't really have the confidence, didn't have the resources. So finally, with everything shutting down, there was the best opportunity to just go ahead and get out there and do it. So now I have an official YouTube channel. I do movie reviews, I do trailer reactions, I do the occasional TV show recap. Not as often as the trailer reactions and movie reviews, but yeah, that's kind of my general thing now.
Cool. Well, congrats. I've been loving how you've been growing. Your page has been growing. I enjoy your content myself. We go way back. We've known each other since like 2008. We were hung out together at college, was in some orgs together, took classes together. I think we helped out on a friend's their student film together once. So we go way back. We even kind of, I just want to acknowledge you some because you were kind of the first person that I talked about doing this with. The fact having my own review page. And I remember one time we was even talking about possibly doing something together. And then when I guess like the year before the pandemic, I decided to like not waiting for things to be perfect and just step out. And I remember telling you will support me all the way. So I do appreciate that. So just want to thank you in front of the people for what you've done. But
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that in the same way that you putting yourself out there, I think it kind of helped me because it was like, okay, Ty went ahead and and jumped out there. And even outside of just the movie review thing, I saw people just were really taking opportunities to like jump out there. And it's like, what excuse do I really have other than me being in my head? And that's not an excuse. So yeah. So thank you also for kind of putting yourself out there first. And then just eventually me kind of coming around and seeing that I needed to kind of do the same thing.
yeah. So yeah, I'm excited what's in store for both of us. So all right. So what did you I love tennis. I love Venus and Serena. So I've been waiting on this movie. So what did you know about this movie before the trailers dropped?
I'm going to be really honest because I usually stay abreast somehow. It's weird because it's like I have different channels as far as how I follow like film news and pre-production. Mm-hmm. So it's like, social media, certain websites, certain emails. And so I'll get kind of updates, but there are some that kind of fall through the cracks. And for whatever reason, I was not aware that they were doing this film. I figure, of course it makes sense that they would do a story like this. It's just that I wasn't aware that it was coming this soon, and I didn't catch the pre-production. I didn't catch the initial, we're casting and we're doing this. Or I want to say I remember something about Will Smith potentially being cast, but that was at a certain point, and then I think I forgot about it, and then all of a sudden the trailer was out. So I had some awareness now that I think about it, but normally I follow the entire process through, and I was not kind of abreast like I am with other films.
All right. Well, I think at that point we can get into the trailer.
I got these two great tennis players. All we need
is a club. Everything to go from prodigy to pro. Raise your hand, Serena. Venus Williams. What you think?
Nobody's taking that bet. Tennis takes expert instruction. It takes families with unlimited financial resources. It's like asking somebody to believe that you got the next two Mozarts in your house.
Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world.
Throw it to the sky. Yeah, that's it. There you go.
They're not going to Wimbledon like this. Not with you and me on those raggedy courts.
We just got to stick to the plan. We got champions in the other room.
You taught him all this?
Richard, I'm impressed. I think you might just have the next Michael Jordan.
Oh no, brother man. I got me the next two.
Can't nobody knock it if they try.
Let me ask you about something. What do you want out of this? I know what your dad wants, but what about you?
Well, I want to win Wimbledon as many times as anyone's ever won it.
You think you can do that? Every American player got good following this path.
We gonna do this a different way.
You pulled him out of juniors. Now you pull him out of practice. You do it constantly.
I'm trying to look out for my kids.
You're looking out for yourself.
This is their life. You gotta let them decide.
Venus Williams, what you want?
Let's show all of those people that I can handle what's coming.
Feels so good to be alive. It feels so good. That's why
You are a champion, and the whole world knows it.
She's playing the best player on the planet. She can't beat her.
But what if she do?
ain't nobody knock it if they try. This is our supersonic fight. Look how we've been fighting to stay alive.
Remember who you are, remember where you came from.
We'll have tried.
I have never been more proud
Do you know how much
in my whole life.
how hard we had to fight?
You gonna show them how dangerous you are? Let me see your dangerous face. That's your dangerous face. Make some dangerous noises. There you go. That's your dangerous face. That's okay. Don't do that for the people.
Wow. I had not seen that trailer before.
You haven't seen that one before.
No, I'm not gonna say it. Okay. Yeah, no, I had seen I'm guessing that was the first, you know how they do, it's like nowadays they do like trailer 1, trailer 2, trailer 3. So that was the Be Alive trailer. I hadn't seen that before. I
Okay.
hadn't seen the first one, and that was really good.
Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts?
My first thought is that it reminds me a lot of Akilah and the Bee with Keke Palmer, Angela Bassett, and Lawrence Fishburne. And I say that because I don't know, it's the kind of the narrative, because from what I remember, Akilah was kind of from a tough neighborhood. Her mom was, working hard, trying to keep, the family afloat. And then this opportunity just kind of comes out of nowhere. And so, and then as she excels, and of course that had to do with spelling, but it's kind of like she becomes this kind of unlikely hero and this champion of the community. And I don't know, like as I was watching it, like that's just kind of what came to mind. Of course, this is a real story, and I think Akilah was just a specific story. It wasn't a real life narrative from what I remember, but with this, it just reminded me a lot of those same themes of kind of triumphing over the odds. And of course, it being, a Black narrative, I'm always here for, Black excellence. And then, Venus and Serena. And then as soon as I saw the beads, because I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I remember seeing them like on the court with the beads in their hair. And yeah, so it brings back a lot of, I don't know, it just brings a lot of like inspiration. Of course, them using the Be Alive song by Beyonce, which I also think I hadn't heard. I think it looks like a really solid story. The cast looks really good. I didn't realize Tony Goldwyn is his name. I didn't realize he was in this. John, is it John Burstyn? John from The Punisher. And I knew Anjanou Ellis was in this, and I love her as an actress. So yeah, it looks I wasn't like, it's not like I had a bad feeling about the first trailer, but this kind of
Mhm.
added to the, I don't know, this added kind of pulled on the emotions a little bit more than the first one did. So I'm a little more, invested and excited this time around.
Yeah, the Twitter went a little wild when this trailer released and was like, look at Fitz, he always in black people's business.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I'm a little bit more invested than the normal moviegoer would be
Yeah.
in this case. But yeah, um I did feel like the emotional strings tugged a little bit more in this one as well. I'm not sure if it was the addition of the Beyonce song, and there's some powerful words in there actually. So yeah, I I've been saying my overall thoughts is like I'm ready to cry, and they might, even though I have HBO Max and can watch this at home, I think they are trying their hardest to get me inside of a theater to experience this. So
Oh yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, there are just some films, and I know with HBO Max for obvious reasons, it makes it easier to just kind of sit at home and watch. But sometimes you that theater experience, it's hard to beat. So especially with music and the surround sound and the visual of everything. So so I can understand if you decide to go.
Yeah. So on Tie Talks, I like to point out the negatives before I get into positives, because I like to end on a high note. But what are some maybe concerns you got regarding the film from watching the trailer?
So I think probably what my main concern is, and there are nuances to how I feel about this. So when it comes to Will Smith, I kind of remember it came to mind as we were talking initially that I had a certain response to the casting, and I've spoken also on my channel and just in general about how I feel like there is this kind of erasure when it comes to dark skin reputation, dark skinned representation of certain figures in film. Now, it's not like Will Smith is like fair or pale or anything like that. So it's not like it's not like some huge stretch or anything like that. But if you told me like who I would cast for this film, and especially knowing how Mr. Williams actually looks, Carl Lumbly is the first person that came to mind. I remember seeing him in The Color of Friendship on Disney Channel like some years ago. And he's a really solid actor. And he was just in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and then there are other actors too, but that's just kind of the first person that came to mind. And I'm not sure how old he is, so I understand that given the time period that this is taking place, depending on his age and whether or not that could work, there's that piece also. But there's a little bit of hesitation as far as not getting someone who really kind of fits the look, but is also a solid actor. But that's also not to discount Will Smith as an actor, because I feel like he's done a lot. I think that because he's been so mainstream and he's done so many like big budget blockbusters, some that have been received well and some that have not, I think that sometimes his dramatic ability to act kind of gets overshadowed. So, because I think that out of all that he's done, I still remember his performance in 6 Degrees of Separation, and he really disturbed me in that film. He was just a very seductive, very alluring, but very kind of deceptive and manipulative figure. And that was like one of his first big movie roles. And he was in that film with Stockard Channing and just some real heavy hitters as far as acting. And then I would say outside of that, the only like serious like dramatic films I can think of is Ali, and then The Pursuit of Happiness. I think outside of that, a lot of his films have just kind of ranged from like kind of action to sci-fi to, just kind of like that lane comedy, romantic comedy, things like that. And so I think that he is definitely talented. One thing that is probably throwing off my perception of his role in this film is concussion, because I had some issues, number one, with this casting, and not to reiterate that same point again, but initially, the two main, the two actors and actresses being cast in that film in the main roles for the doctor and his wife, it was David Oyelowo and Lupita Nyong'o. And then we ended up getting Will Smith and Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who, as you know, are fairer people. And then Lupita and David are distinctly dark-skinned people. But if I were to just kind of completely jump aside from the skin tone part, and clearly they're all four are very talented. It's just that they bring something very different to their roles. I wasn't as even though I recognized it, I didn't have as much of an issue with that. What I had an issue with is that I felt like the story in Concussion was very compelling, especially because that's a very like real life thing, and people don't consider the kind of trauma and the kind of things that are affected by football and football players and the type of physical and all the trauma that they kind of experience on the field, because football is kind of champion. It's about the money, it's about the revenue, it's the great American pastime. And so the fact that that story was being told and he was trying to expose all these things, I think it was such a great story. The problem is that Will Smith's performance in that film, it did not really do it for me. I know that he was trying, but it felt more like let me slide into this film. Let me do something different in this role for Oscar attention. And every time I think about that film, all I hear is dirty truth, dirty truth, dirty truth. And it's just like, I see what you're trying to do, but it's not giving what I think it should give. And that was also in the midst of Jada and the whole Oscar So White controversy, and a lot of people attaching it to the fact that he didn't get nominated for that, which me personally, I didn't feel like his performance was up to snuff in that film. So I'm kind of conscious of Will Smith. So I'm carrying all that into this.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm trying to like look at it at all angles. So there are things that kind of affect my my view of him playing this character. However, in comparison, because I do see some of the same things, Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world. It almost feels like the accent and the whole style and all that. Now, I don't know how Mr. Williams sounds, so I could be wrong about that. It almost sounds like he's calling upon a specific style of speech and all that to kind of sink into this character. I don't think it's as bad or as awkward as Concussion was, but I'm hoping that it doesn't feel as cartoonish or as off-putting as that did. The only other thing that I'm worried about, and you can't help it because this is reality, but I'm wondering, and I saw a shot of multiple children, so I'm guessing they're going to tackle this in the story, but finding out about Mr. Williams and his family before Venus and Serena, I was like, oh, that's going to really complicate things. Like I said, there aren't perfect people. You look at films like Ray, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that Ray Charles was wild and the way he was with all these women and the drug, so we have to tell the story, but I know for a lot of people, there's going to be this really uncomfortable response to this man kind of being like, okay, I'm out. And then, kind of building the success with this other family while this other family kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah, as someone who has known about Richard and his other children for years now, I figured that this movie may be bringing that back up. My only concern will hopefully be that, typically in these things, the responsibility and accountability shifts sometimes. And I just hope that whatever energy people have towards that is towards Richard and his parenting, and not necessarily people trying to put that back as a way to criticize Venus and Serena as well.
Yeah, no, because they can't help the circumstances of that. Like they were raised, they were, like their experience was their experience, and in the same way, I'm not dismissing his other children's experience. But yeah, that's not a reflection of them. That's solely his, that's solely his responsibility.
I will be shocked if it's talked about in this movie, though. From what I feel like I remember is that this particular book, this particular movie in the story and the timing that they're telling came from a book that was written about Richard.
Right.
And I think the book was maybe written in like 2010 or sometime around there. So I'll be interested if it hits on that. I definitely know that the other children in the video were Venus's and Serena's 3 oldest sisters from Origin.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had 3 children already before her and Richard got together.
Okay, so I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah.
that makes
sense. And then I think, some of that story has been out because there was a documentary about Venus and Serena about, I think it came out in like 2012, and it kind of delved into that a little bit. It was interesting because that topic about Will and his skin tone has been something that has been talked about since the casting was announced. I think I kind of fell in the side of like, I definitely understand the erasure of dark skin people, especially in Hollywood, especially in movies. I think what made this one a little bit more acceptable for me was I know how closely guarded Venus and Serena are with their stories.
Right.
In their family. And so the fact that the family has been so heavily involved in this movie, their producers and stuff like that, I kind of went at it of looking at that Venus and Serena and their family chose to have Will tell this story for them.
Right.
But also I do recognize the optics of things. And
I don't think it has to be one or the other, because I'm fair, so it's not like boycott this movie. Oh my god, you're erasing our skin. Like I don't feel that way. Like for me, it's just a matter of like I can recognize it. I can give feedback or commentary about it, but I can still support it because it's not like, because I'm all about Black storytelling. Partly because of the way I was raised, and I was surrounded with a lot of and positive isn't just the word, but diverse. I think I was given a lot of perspectives as far as Black people and what we can accomplish, or even just living day-to-day life. Or that started in books, and so from the fantastical to the magical to the realistic, I think it's important that we tell those stories. And keeping with what you said about Venus Serena, I also forgot to say that I know that he is like fun. I think is he funding this? Like he's a big part of like putting this project together.
Will?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and so the thing is, that also is important. The fact that he cares enough to really like invest in this. So I think that's also what kind of takes it beyond just, oh, this is just a vanity project. No, like I care about telling this story, and then their involvement and things like that. So that's why this feels completely different than Concussion. And even though, like you said, optics and all that, I'm cognizant of the goal, and I'm cognizant of the fact that we are just telling this story about two legendary figures in this arena. I even love that line that the guy said, like, it was just basically like, it's like, you talk like you have two Mozarts just, sitting around. I'm like, I mean.
Gonna find out he did. Yeah. He very much did. Yeah. I think the little things that I found a problem with were, well, one, really the main thing is just a little petty. And I also noticed that I'm probably very biased in this movie, right? But I just the only little concern that came up with me was the young lady that's playing Venus. They let her film a scene saying Wimbledon instead of Wimbledon, and it's just like in the tennis field, that's like the thing of like we know you don't know anything about tennis if you pronounce Wimbledon wrong or with the T. But I think also as someone who knows that story a lot, I'm trying to like caution myself not to go in it expecting to learn something new and having expectations for something new. So that could be that I could easily get frustrated by that as a hardcore fan. So trying not to keep that in mind for myself.
Yeah, and I don't know. It may or may not be. We'll have to actually watch the film. I don't know if that's going to be a thing where she says that and they're like, that's not how, like it could be a thing where like she's not aware and they're like, yeah, that's not how you say that. And it, it could be a moment or it could be a slip up, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. All right. So what are some things you're excited about? What gave some good vibes from the trailer?
The casting especially. I love that. Like I said, Anjanou Ellis, I've been a fan of hers since Undercover Brother. And she's been in Ray. She's been in, oh my gosh, she was just, and I was irritated. I think I even said this on Twitter that she deserved a nomination as Maddie Clark in the Clark Sisters biopic. She was in the Book of Negroes. Like she's done a lot. I believe she was in Birth of a Nation, if I'm not mistaken, but she's been in a lot of solid films. And and she was also in When They See Us. And so she's been in a lot of films and I still feel like she's underrated. I think more people know about her now, but to me, she's always been great. And so I'm glad she's a part of another solid project. She was also in Lovecraft Country. They had a whole episode that was centered around her character. So yeah, so I'm a big fan of hers. I like the fact, I've said this plenty of times on my channel, but I love newcomers in general, but especially Black newcomers. We have a tendency to kind of reuse the same people over and over. And it's just like you never know who can be the next big, it's not even just about like next big thing as far as like, fame or publicity, but just the next quality actor, because we need everybody. There's all kind of stories we need to tell. And so let's call upon new people to tell that story. And then what also helps is that we're not looking at someone, that we're not looking at people that we already kind of identify with certain roles. There are some actors, as soon as you see them, it's just like, okay, I can't see anybody but such and such. Whereas, the fact that these are new, out the box, we get to just kind of immerse ourselves to the fact that they are Serena and they are Venus.
Yeah. That's great. I think the casting looks great as well. So I definitely agree on that piece. I think some other things that I'm excited about. Normally tennis looks terrible in TV shows or movies. Like they don't look like they know what they're doing at all. So from the first trailer to now, something that I've been thoroughly surprised about is how the tennis look from the girls. They look like they did some studying to get the form down of what a swing looks like, what a professional, or not even professional, but someone who plays tennis a lot, what that looks like. Because I can name plenty of movies that's been on the big screen, plenty of TV shows where they a tennis player see those people hitting the bombs, like that's definitely not it. So I was thoroughly surprised on how the tennis looked. And I think I've been hearing rumblings about the young girl that plays Venus being like a standout in addition to Will. And something else that has been great for me seeing in the trailers is seeing, even though it's the story, it's about Richard in this time period of him getting Venus and Serena. I think it seems like this story is going to focus on the debut. And the debut debut started with Venus. And I know recently in years, probably definitely in the past like 6 or 7 years, the way Serena has just elevated into this different icon in the world, how sometimes that story even gets lost with Venus and how she was the blueprint and paved the way. So seeing this focal point on her in the movie based off what I've seen from the trailer so far is something that I'm excited about.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what would be your predictions on how you think this movie will go?
I think to me, it looks like it's a film that's going to get a lot of obvious acclaim. Not even that that's the goal, because ultimately I feel like with a lot of films, even though we're in an industry where it's all about the dollar bill, I do think that this is going to be a film that's going to get a lot of critical acclaim. And I think because, the black dollar is not to be taken for granted, but we will show up and show out, for our films, especially when it's about real life figures.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, and I understand we're still in the middle of a ponderosa, as I call it. So there's still challenges with that, but I think between HBO Max and then the people going to the theater, I think it should at least, be somewhat solidly financial success on some level. And I think that, of course, the critical side of things, I think it'll get a lot of love on that front, which it should. And I think the fact that it is, there is a story that's at the center of this, and we are focused on telling that story in an authentic way. To me, that's always what stands out for me. So I hope that that's noticed.
All right, that's great. All right, so we come to the end of reviewing the trailer, but as I'd like to establish with guests, I like to go through like a quick round of 10 questions for you. Now, in honor of my new Tie Talks Take 3 series, which is kind of my 10. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it so much. All my questions, today I'm gonna be asking you to pick 3 things in all of them, okay?
Okay.
All right. So the first one is, name your top 3 Will Smith movies.
Whew. Okay, these are going to be in no particular order, because it's harder to kind of go from 3, 2 to 1 or whichever way. Men in Black is definitely one. I think Men in Black is such a great, especially the first one, but it's just a fun franchise. And then him playing the whole buddy cop concept with Tommy Lee Jones and the different aliens. It's just it's so fun. So that is one. Let's see. I think, any of the Bad Boys films. I'll say the second one just because it's really, really fun. But I'm fine with any of the 3. Will Smith and once again, same thing, kind of like the buddy cop idea, but even crazier with the fact that it's him and Martin Lawrence. So it could really just be the trilogy if we're going to count that as one. But if I had to go with one, I'll say the second one. So Bad Boys 2. And I'm not discounting his dramatic performances. So I will go. Let me think. I'll go with Hitch because I think that was kind of a change of pace. And he's done a lot of action, he's done a lot of thrillers, and he's done different things. But to me, Hitch was a real change of pace. And the type of character he portrayed in that, it was really, really fun. And then Kevin James and then Eva Mendes, I just think that was a really refreshing, just kind of a quirky and fun film. And it was something, kind of a departure for him. So that definitely was a solid one as well.
All right. So in the spirit of biopics, what are your top 3 biopics?
Ray is definitely one of the best. Whether you're a fan of Jamie Foxx or not, you cannot tell me that man chew that roll up and spit it out.
Mhm.
And the fact, like I said earlier, the fact that they were not afraid to basically say that Ray Charles was a whole lot of things, and a lot of those things were not positive.
Mhm.
And they went there, but they also got into the trauma of his childhood, his experience with becoming blind, his drug abuse, and even his relationships with women. And all those performances were so excellent. Regina King, Anjanou Ellis, Susan, I forgot her name, but the actress who played his mother, especially out of all those performances, she was so excellent. Kerry Washington as his wife, like it was like that really, like Jamie Foxx did his thing, but the women really like carried so much of that film. And I'm still to this day, I'm irritated that they didn't get any awards consideration for any of the female performances. But that aside, it is a very powerful, very in your face biopic, and and so that's a really great example of one that really like goes there and tells the story. I would say up next, I would say What's Love Got to Do with It? Because it is it's, and I will say that film was a little traumatizing for me as a child, because there are certain things we learn from film and from television. And the thought of a man hitting a woman, putting his hands on a woman, doing anything, that was inconceivable, to me, because I know the respect that my father had for my mother. I know the respect that he had, for his mother and my sister, his aunts, and his sisters / my aunts, just how he respected the women in his life. And so the thought that any man would do those things, it was really difficult to witness. But at the same time, I had to understand that is a reality.
Yeah.
And so seeing her kind of go through that experience, but also triumphing over that and kind of carving out this lane of music. I also love the fact that they highlight that she didn't have a typical voice. We see the scene with Ike and all these women with all these different kind of voices, some who can't sing, some who can sing, but she just came in and he even told her, like, you sing like a man, like you have like this raw, something that comes out of you. And so the way, the costumes and the musical sequences, Proud Mary is probably one of the best, and just their chemistry together, their performances, and just this complete story of how she triumphed over all of that. Although there still was a lot of trauma that she still kind of had to deal with past that point. That film is just very it really goes there. But Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne, they were nominated for Academy Awards for their performances. We got Jennifer Lewis and Phyllis Yvonne Stickney, so many great actors in that film. Yeah. So that absolutely is my second one. The third. I think I'm stuck on the third. Let's see. I'm trying to think of different. It's kind of a tie between two, but I'm going to go with the Josephine Baker story starring Lynn Whitfield.
Okay.
Because it was between that and Introducing Dorothy Dandridge with Halle Berry. Both of those were excellent biopics, and their performances were next level. The reason why I did Lynn Whitfield is because I think she's an underrated actress in general, and she is so talented. And I don't know if she's ever been given the kudos that she deserves. I'm glad that with Greenleaf, more people were able to see her and learn about her and from her performance of Lady May and all that. But I think that with Josephine Baker, once again, that whole process of learning about certain things in Black history, and Josephine being the first Black international superstar. And it was the lens behind her story is so unique. She's just this poor Black girl, and she is in circumstances that are not ideal. I think her mother is like a washerwoman. Her life is just kind of and then she goes to Paris and she becomes like this, this superstar, and just how she's received and the fact that she makes this impact, and she begins to see the parallel between her life in France and then her life, even when she goes back and she's had success. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. all this is still the same. You guys still see me the same way. So I'm like, no, back to friends. And, you know, her marriages and then her rainbow tribe with children. Like there was so many things about, and the fact that I think she was, I think if this is the correct term, but she was like a spy during certain wars, and she was heavily involved in, certain information and being a part of the war on, just the war on France and different things like that. There's so much about her life that was so unique and interesting. So definitely have to give it to that one, because that was a big film for me to experience and learn about Josephine Baker's life.
All right. Those were a solid 3. Very solid 3. Your top 3 sports movies.
Oof. The only reason that one is slightly harder is because I'm not a big sports person, and kind of in life. I don't dislike it. It's just that there are some things we click with and some things we don't. So sports has never really been my thing. So when it comes to watching films, like only specific films kind of like hit the way they're supposed to. But the first obvious one is Remember the Titans.
Okay.
That is such a great film. Just the story itself, Denzel Washington's performance, the actor, I know his name because he was just in Halloween Kills, but I can't remember it. But the black coach and then the white coach, the white teammates and the black teammates, just that story of them coming together and really doing something unprecedented. And then just some of the funny moments, like them singing, the Temptations on the bus, and just them dealing with the racial dynamics of the times. And it really is just a quality film. Like it really, really is. Let's see. Trying to think of different kinds of sports. We have basketball, we have football, we have baseball. I'm trying to not look up things. I'm trying to just do what comes to mind. So I'll just say this film was, no, because this counts. Rocky.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait. Lots in the sport. But I went so many years not knowing what Rocky was, like knowing the theme song and all that, and seeing all these, how films and TV shows will parody all these aspects from Rocky or certain films. And so I figured once I saw it, I would kind of be like, oh, okay. But oh my gosh, it's kind of like one of those films there are certain films that come around and they just kind of hit you at a certain place because depending on where you are when you see it. And so for me, I was kind of in a very kind of like, kind of lackadaisical place, just kind of emotionally, I was not in the best space. And so seeing that and seeing Rocky's story, and it's not just about the fact that he is, triumphant and he is kind of this unlikely hero, but just, I don't know, all this dynamics of the fact that he is, from what I remember, just the fact that he is kind of seen as just kind of a big dumb kind of musclehead, and people don't really see him as, someone possibly worthy of having that kind of opportunity, and seeing him just kind of battle his way, and then the whole Adrian and all that at the end, like it is such a great film. And there are some films you watch and that are talked about in film history and get a lot of acclaim, you watch and you're like, I don't really see it. But this is one of those where it's like, okay, I absolutely understand why Rocky is that film. And then third, basketball. The third, I think I might be stuck on. I'll just say one that I thought was really interesting and kind of comes to mind as a child. I would say Angels in the Outfield. Okay. That is such a different film. And I'm sure if I look, there's probably another one that would slide into the category. But Angels in the Outfield was just such a unique film because I never knew much about baseball. And that film really taught me a lot about baseball. And then, of course, with the Angels piece, which now seems kind of bizarre, but I have to kind of go back and watch that one. But that was an interesting film to watch, and just kind of how it juxtaposed the sport of baseball and the dynamics of that with this other kind of like supernatural piece. I thought that was a really interesting film.
Yeah. There's definitely, around our time, the movies that about baseball, Angels in the Outfield, and then in a completely different tone, A League of Their Own. I remember.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
All right. So, what are the top 3 movies you have seen this year?
Last Night in Soho. That is
Okay.
immediately my number one. I just did a review on that, and man, I always try to leave room for disappointment because you never know. I try not to hype myself up too much for anything, but I was excited for it, and it absolutely ended up being my best of. Like, I loved just basically everything, and anything I didn't enjoy about it was basically nitpicking, and I'm not a nitpicker, so that was definitely one of my favorites. Let's see. I would say that I'm trying to think. I would say Promising Young Woman was, just as far as the way it was made and the way that film was executed, even though some aspects of it, like the ending and certain things, I wasn't 100% on everything about it, but I appreciated the vision for that film, and then the style of it, and the just the overall execution of that film. And then Carey Mulligan, someone who I've always just kind of seen in kind of period pieces, who's very talented, but I'm used to her in a certain lane. And this was very much a modern woman with a totally different personality. Like, even the personality in those films, her characters are kind of quiet, kind of reserved. With this character, which is very like kind of, a lot more in your face and straightforward and kind of fearless, almost like, no, I'm not afraid to take you down. So what are you going to do about it? So that one kind of caught me off guard, but that was a good one also. And then let's see. I'm trying to think. Because I really want to make sure I do a third one. No, I don't have to look. Dune. I think that the technical quality of Dune is next level. It's just that film is on another scale. And I would have to go back in my mind to think about, throughout my life as a child, the type of films I've watched that have been like, whoa, and it just felt like so massive and so big. But it's been a while since I watched a film that really felt like the scope of this is massive. And I felt like I had to really just sit and stare at the screen for a while, like, to just kind of take in everything. I know that as far as pacing and certain aspects of it, it's not really a mainstream film. So some people may be challenged with it as far as that. But the experience of it was so unique. And the fact that they've announced a part 2 for 2023, like, I'm like, come on, like, I need to know what else happens. So yeah, that was also a really solid one.
Cool. Great. And kind of the last one in the movie round right now, what are the top 3 movies you are looking forward to in either the remainder of 2021 or in 2022?
Let's see. Death on the Nile, because I think and that was like literally when I first started my channel. That might have been, I don't know, like, that was probably my second trailer reaction I ever did.
Okay.
And I've been a big Agatha Christie fan since I was much younger. My mom gave me And Then There Were None, her one of her books that she read when she was young, and she gave me that to read, and that was great. And then watching or reading a lot of her the adaptations of her work, I've been really like enjoying learning about that. And so, And Then There Were None, if you watch the BBC version of that was excellent. And then Murder on the Orient Express, I need to go back and watch the older one, but the newer Murder on the Orient Express, that was a really fun film. I love the style and just the casting, and it's really enjoyable. So Death on the Nile, and they actually hinted at Death on the Nile at the end of Murder on the Orient Express. They tell him, oh, hey, there's been some case out in Egypt, that you need to see about it. And he's like, oh, let's go see what's going on here. And then now we have Death on the Nile, and that's another one where the cast is like stacked. It takes place in Egypt. It takes place on this barge, and there's an obvious murder mystery, and we have to figure out who did it. And then Poirot, it has to crack the case. And so yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I was actually mad it got pushed, but then there were so many films whose schedule got thrown off. So
Yeah.
So Death on the Nile is one. I am really ready, especially after WandaVision, for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I know that just got pushed a little bit, but I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange. I had some issues with it, but I think that especially the way WandaVision set up everything, because WandaVision, like I said, there are some projects and some films or TV shows that come around at a specific time. And just if I'm being transparent, I was dealing with a lot of grief and resentment and kind of emotional struggles as I was watching WandaVision. And a lot of what she was experiencing kind of paralleled that. So not only was it just a well done project, but it kind of like, it really like kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like a connection to what I was going through. And so I was able to really invest even deeper into the story and the progression of that. And so now knowing that, you know, Scarlet Witch / Wanda is kind of now moving into a certain space and she's going to be in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm just ready to see how that's all going to come together, because it almost seems like it's going to have like a horror-ish vibe to it, which I would really, you know, enjoy seeing. So that's another one. I've already said Doom Part 2, even though I am excited to see that. But I would say that, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll probably just say that I am excited to see. I'm trying to think of all the films coming out in 2022. There was something coming out in January. I am so sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, let me look. January 2022. And there are so many, so that's the only reason I'm getting stuck. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There's the other one. I was like, I knew there was another one. Okay. Well, I was interested in seeing Morbius. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, because you know, Jared Leto's experience with the Joker and all that, you know, kind of went around. And so, I mean, he's a talented actor, and I don't know if that's just on him, but just the way that they see the character and the way they didn't really utilize him that well in Suicide Squad. And then Suicide Squad as a film had a whole lot of issues also. So, but Morbius, it looks really interesting. And I remember Morbius on the Spider-Man animated series. So the idea and the concept of it looks really interesting because it's very, of course, Dracula-esque. And so that was one I was interested in seeing before it got pushed. And I'm wondering like how Morbius and Venom, and I'm wondering like, I'm also excited to see like how they're going to put that together, because clearly this is all existing because Sony has the rights. They're all kind of existing in this separate kind of space.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see that because the idea and the concept of it looks really interesting. And I want to see if they're going to start like kind of connecting everything from that film.
All right. So the next few, we're going to kind of shift into the TV realm, okay?
So
okay. What are 3 TV shows you are currently watching?
Currently watching. I'm watching a show called Hacks on HBO. It stars Gene Smart. And it's basically about this comedian who has a residency in Vegas, and she's kind of had this long and illustrious career. But now she's kind of at the point, as in a lot of industries, where, you know, she's gotten older and then people don't necessarily see the value in what she's doing anymore. There's even a joke about, you know, like, hey, we're thinking of like trading, you know, some of your dates out for like pentatonics. And she's like, who is that? And they're like, oh, you know, they do like this cool kind of beatboxing. She's like, what? You know, like, so she doesn't understand like what this whole new school, you know, style of things, because she's always had a reliable audience. And then she's having to be paired with this writer to help her with her material. And the writer has been down on her luck because she's done too much talking and she said a lot of controversial stuff. So now she's having to build back up the career. And they are really butting heads. But as we go along, we see that they are kind of developing this very, kind of unique relationship. And I love it because it's funny, like it's a really hilarious show, but it also feels so like nostalgic. Something about the show like reminds me of something I would have watched in the 90s.
Okay.
And just something really kind of quirky and funny and, just enjoyable. So that's one I'm really enjoying right now. Let's see. I am also, I feel like there's something I just finished. Well, I'll say that Mayor of Easttown was a really, really good show. I really, really enjoyed that. And to the end of that. So let's see, what's on? Oh, I am watching Midnight Mass right now. And that is, I kind of knew when I saw the trailer that I was gonna like that show, but just the experience of it is something very different. Like you get used to seeing horror in a certain lane, whether it's TV shows or whether it's movies, but the way that they are approaching a lot of the story, it's something very refreshing, but it's also disturbing for obvious reasons. And there are a lot of questions that are being raised from episode to episode, and even how it tackles religion and how it tackles, faith and belief and all that. I find that to be really, I find that to be pretty refreshing and very unique, from the viewing experience. So I'm really enjoying that as well. And then let's see, I'm always watching something on reality TV. So I'm trying to stick with the scripted stuff. Let's see, what show is that? It is on, once again, let me check. Oh, it just hit me. I'm obviously watching Insecure, so we're both watching that. But there's this show on also on HBO Max called The Other Two. And it's basically about this older brother and sister who are kind of struggling, carving out careers. They don't really know what they want to do. And like they're kind of at a dead end place in their lives. But their brother ends up becoming like a pop sensation. He's like 11 years old. He ends up becoming like a pop sensation overnight, kind of like Justin Bieber. And it's kind of them kind of like trying to deal with the fact that their brother is this massive success, even though technically he's not talented. And they have a lot that they feel like they have to offer. And then their mom, who is played by Molly Shannon, and and the mama is just like one of those, yes, yes, yes. Like she is just like running his career, and she is just like trying to really like, she's just one of those moms, those fame moms, stage moms. And how she sees her other children and just the dynamics of that. So some of it is messed up as far as what you see and what their relationship is, but it's also funny because it literally starts with saying when they're talking about his career, their brother's career, and they're like, some are saying he could be the next big white kid. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh. I was like, okay, I see where y'all are going with this. So yeah, that too.
All right. So what are 3 TV shows you are looking forward to their upcoming or new season?
Well, I can't say Insecure because this is
like started.
But let's see. I am, let's see. There's HBO. I would be intrigued at least because I saw a show called The White Lotus. It was general, but I'm excited because apparently they're going to do a second season, and it's kind of a show where all these people are at this resort together. But the second season is going to be a completely different, crew. I don't know if it's going to be at the same hotel or another resort or another place. But I'm interested in seeing who are they going to bring together for the second season, because they had a whole lot of different people this time around. So I'm kind of excited, kind of anxious excited for that one, because this one took some turns. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I am also excited for, I just had it, I'm excited for the second season of, let's see, that was a White Lotus. Oh, Bridgerton.
Okay.
Yeah, Bridgerton was an unexpected surprise. It's not like I thought it was going to be bad, but I had just stopped watching Downton Abbey. And what they did at the end of that season 3 finale, like, oh, like I was so I was so angry. I just stopped watching the show. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know where to go from here. And so I think in the midst of that, I kind of went in because I love period pieces. I love costume drama. So that's not the issue. It's just that as I started to watch, I'm just like, this almost feels like we could potentially be profiting off of the fact, because by the time I watched it Downton, I'm sure it already been over. But I'm like, but now that Downton is not a thing, I'm like, are we just kind of throwing in, some kind of costume drama just because? And I wasn't feeling the vibe of it. It was just kind of like, eh. But then there was that hook at the end of the first episode. I'm like, okay, maybe. And then as we went along, it took some surprising turns and the characters and like just it really I don't know, it just really ended up being a really enjoyable show to watch. And once again, it was another show that this is kind of like the opposite reasoning for WandaVision, but I enjoyed watching this because it was just kind of a carefree, kind of quirky and whimsical show, even though they went dark on a couple of things, but it just was like a very carefree and just enjoyable show. And considering where they, that big reveal at the end, I'm just like, I can't imagine where it's going to go the second season. I'm excited to see Kate and Anthony. Some people are mad about the Duke not being on board, but the books have always been set up for it to be about different, the different Bridgerton children. So yeah, so I'm fine with the fact, I'm sure they're gonna find some way to have him pop up. But yeah, I'm excited to see the progression of that story. Yeah. And so just to jump over to reality, it could be either one of these two, but I really love Bling Empire on Netflix. And so that show was that similar to Bridgerton. It actually came out the same day, Christmas Day. And I went in thinking that was going to be an Asian version of The Hills because The Hills was not for me. I couldn't stand that show when it was out. I'm like, oh my gosh, she didn't come to my party. Like, I just like, no, I can't do the Valley accents. This is all very trivial, so it's not for me. But yes, and it is about the fact that they're wealthy, and it's literally like the real life version of Crazy Rich Asians. It's like these are actual people with actual wealth and actual experiences, but they really get into some really deep, topics and some very deep messaging as far as what the characters are experiencing. We kind of deal with like dysfunctional relationships. Some are dealing with abandonment and, trying to reconnect, wondering if they should reconnect to, their biological parents because they've been adopted, infertility, just a lot of different, grief and loss. There's a lot that they get into, and it would be really easy just to make this a show that is just about money. But although that part is impressive, you see a lot of depth to these people as a friend group. The fact that they are there for each other, they are dealing with very deep emotional trauma and issues. And the fact that it's also funny, when they do laugh and have a good time, you're laughing along with them. Like it's really a good time. So I'm so ready for them to come back.
All right. And name 3 actors, regardless of no strength by gender, that you would love to see on the screen together.
So say it one more time.
So 3 actors that you would love to see on the screen together.
Together.
Yeah.
I would love to see, since I just happened to mention them, but I would love to see Lupita Nyong'o and Gugu Mbatha-Raw together in something. I think they're just, I love them both for different reasons, but I think they're both strong actresses. So seeing them together in something, I think that'd be really, really cool. I would like to see, I'm trying to think of somebody I would like to see, I really could see Journey Smollett with anybody. So, I love Journey Smollett. She's a great actress. I would say maybe I would like Journey Smollett to, I'm trying to think of it, just to kind of like branch out. I would be interested in seeing Journey Smollett and why are my people not coming to me today? let's see, I know his name. Thank you. Daniel Kaluuya.
Okay.
It was just because they're both really interesting actors, They bring a lot to their performances. So just to kind of like, I wonder what they could do together if they were in like the same type of film or a project. And let's see. I would also like to see. I would like to see, what is his name? Oh yes. I would like to see Yolan Noel, who played Daniel on Insecure. I would like to see him and oh, you know what? I'd like to see him and Nicole Berry in something.
Okay.
Yeah, like that would be an interesting case.
What 3 videos of yours should new viewers go check out?
That is a good question. I would say, I guess the first is Last Night in Soho, not just because that was one of my highest, like, well, that's one of the highest grades I've given to a film, but I really tried to go in a bit deeper as far as the themes of the film. Like there are times where I kind of dive in certain films and some that I don't. And with this, it just brought to mind a whole lot with like old Hollywood and certain films like Mulholland Drive and Black Swan. And then I had a little piece about Nick at Night and old school Disney. Like there are a lot of things that I kind of put in there and really invested in that one just to kind of like really, I don't know, I really wanted to kind of like emphasize what this film made me feel and what it kind of like, what it brought about as a viewer, having that experience in the theater and watching it. So I would say definitely check out my Last Night in Soho review. I would also say to check out my reviews, my review of the film Passing. It is going to be coming out, I want to say it may be like probably a week. I believe it's November 11th. Like either a week or a couple of weeks, but it's not far off. It's going to be premiering on Netflix, and I had the chance to see that at the Sundance Film Festival back in January. I had always wanted to go, but it was one of those things that I kind of saw it, but didn't see myself going. Like I didn't think about putting it into action. So the fact that everything shut down and it was like, oh, hey, the Sundance Film Festival is going to be, virtual, but then they also had it to where we could attend at the drive-in. So I had the chance to see that, before it was they even had a distribution for Netflix or anything like that. So even though I had kind of mixed thoughts on it, I kind of highlight my experience with the Sundance Film Festival and just kind of the dynamics of the story. And so that's a really interesting one to check out also. And then I would say, just because it's one of the few recaps I've done, I would say check out, if not Bling Empire, because that's another good one, but I would say check out my Bridgerton recaps, because I had really had fun doing those. And I was worried initially because there was so much information to pack into them. And I started out with Insecure. That's like a 30-minute show. And not only is Bridgerton a 1-hour show, but we got the Featheringtons and the Bridgertons and like the Queen. And like we have so many characters, so many story arcs. So I got worried. And I didn't think, at that point, I didn't think anybody would care. And then I kind of did the first episode and was like, okay, I can kind of wait to the second one. People were like, where's the second? I was like, oh, I want to see this. Okay. And then I was able to finally finish it all the way out. So definitely check that out, because that's another reason that will show you why I'm excited for the second season.
I definitely enjoyed those. I definitely watched all of those.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that is all I have. Thank you so much for joining me today on my first trailer reaction. I knew I couldn't do my first trailer reaction with anybody else other than the Movieman. Can you want to tell the people where they can follow you at?
Yes, you can check me out on Instagram at dmovieman, DMOVIEMAN, all one word. You can check me out at d.movieman capital M, Movieman on YouTube. It's kind of the same thing with Facebook. I don't know if anyone really is still on Facebook, but I'm on there, and I'm also on Twitter at MoviemanD, all one word. And yeah, I think that's about everything. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you for having me. We have to do it again.
All right, we'll do.